What's up, YouTube? It's Heretic here. I am back with a deck profile for the first time in quite a while. I really apologize about the lack of videos lately. Having a few internet trouble, or a little bit of internet trouble lately, but we're getting back into the swing of things here. So my city's run has been going pretty well. I hope yours has too, for those of us playing in the City Championships for the 2015 to 2016 Pokemon Trading Card Game season, or VGC if that's your thing, because, hey, you know what, that's part of the game too, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm back with a deck that's gotten quite a bit of popularity throughout our city's run and has done well around here in my area as well, and that is Entei, or Entei Charizard, however you want to look at it. So we're using this guy as our main attacker. This is the Ancient Trait Entei from Ancient Origins, which has the trait Theta Double, allowing it to have 2 Pokemon tools attached to itself at once. And that's going to come into play quite a bit here with the 2 different Pokemon tools that we run. He also, for a fire and a colorless, deals 30 damage and reduces the damage done to him by 30 during the next turn, which is going to play in as well. Then for his big attack for 2 fire and 2 colorless, hitting for 130 damage. So, since he can have 2 tools, he can have 2 muscle bands. So it's just like Charizard with a muscle band, which we also run 1 of, as you'll notice here in a moment. So we run 3 of that Entei. There's our Charizard for the record, for the Combustion Blast. The 4th Entei is the Combat Blaze one. A lot of these decks run just 4 of the Ancient Trait Entei. It's pretty good. I did a little bit of testing with the 4, and then I dropped this count to 3 so I could run 1 of this Entei, and I actually found this to be quite effective against certain decks that really do bench load and become problematic. We know Mega Rayquaza decks will love to just fill up their bench to 7-8 Pokemon, and you can just, if necessary, sometimes if they have 7, slap a Muscle Band on here, maybe you won't need to, and start taking KOs on their Rayquazas that way. He also attacks for just 2 fire energy, so 1 Blacksmith and you've got him going, which is something that you can't really do as far as high damage attacks with the rest of this deck. But in this case, you don't even need to do him from turn attached, just Blacksmith and bam, he's going. You can turn attached to an Entei or a Charizard or something. Now, because we do rely on Blacksmith, we're not going to be having as much supporter draw, so we run 3 copies of Shaman EX, a little bit more than I've been running in most of my decks. I've been coming up with 2 as being kind of the magic number, so that it doesn't become a bench liability. Since we're aiming to Blacksmith so much, though, we do want to have extra copies of Shaman. We'll also have space on our bench, because these are the only Pokemon we run in this deck. So, supporter lineup, 4 Sycamore, because, I mean, unless you're playing a Turbo Engine, I feel like this is usually going to be pretty standard. I have seen Entei lists that run as little as 1 Professor Sycamore. I have a little bit of a tough time cutting those, but if you do need more consistency boost from other cards, I could definitely see the reasoning behind it. 3 copies of Blacksmith, really the heart and soul of supporter-wise of the deck, with VS Seeker, Battle Compressor, and all that stuff, just being able to return some energy from the discard pile to Entei or Charizard and just continue to attack again and again. And you can also, if you go second, get as much as 170 damage on the first turn. If you go first, you could potentially do 190 on the first turn with Giovanni's Scheme, which is another one of the cards we're going to be running here. So I'll go ahead and lay that one down. Dual option supporter, it's pretty effective. You can draw your hand up to 5. Most of the time you want to do the 20 extra damage. Pretty nice effect. We play 1 Judge just because. And then Lysander. You could probably cut the Judge and make it 2 Lysanders, but most of the time, you're probably going to be going with Blacksmith, so other supporters are a little more conditional. Sycamore definitely early, especially if you go first. That's mainly why I just like to stick with 4 copies, is because they can get you out of a pinch, especially in the beginning of the game. Then we run 2 Scorched Earths, extra draw power, discard energies from hand, and then we can Blacksmith them right back on. Then we play 4 VS Seekers to get supporters back, some extra draw and search or reach support, 4 Acrobike, and 4 Trainer's Mail. Really just kind of mainstays in this format, especially Trainer's Mail. Just so good in Standard, and decks that absolutely need it. Whereas in Expanded, we've got a little more draw support, but with what we have right now in Standard, I feel like the 4 Trainer's Mail really are just mandatory in just about every deck. We run 4 Ultra Ball to be able to search out our Shamans, Enteis, and Charizard, pretty much whatever you need. 3 Compressor to dump fire energies and supporters to be used with Blacksmith and VS Seeker. You can also just late game, you can kind of clean out whatever you might not need for the game for the rest of the way. We play 2 Pokemon catchers. This is a personal choice. I've heard some people talk about it in this deck, but since we are aiming to Blacksmith more often than not, this is just kind of an extra little way to say, hey, I Blacksmithed, or I played another supporter. Maybe you need to play like Giovanni, or maybe, just maybe you head to Sycamore, and just to still be able to get that Lysander effect, even if it's on a coin flip, when you've already played a different supporter, is just crazy. And then I play 1 Escape Rope. My reasoning behind this over a switch is just that it's kind of one of those early game deals where if you go up against, say, a Wobbuffet or something, it's just another way to force your opponent to switch out, and it also gives you a way to switch out on your turn, since I did not have 4 slots in here for Super Scoop Ups, although I'm sure those could be made. Just kind of having the extra 1-of copy, just a way to give yourself a switch and also, potentially get a threat out of your opponent's active slot. So it kind of doubles as a dual utility card there. Then we play 4 Muscle Band. Entei can take 2 at once, but Ancient Trait 1 can also put it on Charizard. And then we play 3 Assault Vests on top of that to counter decks like Night March, Vespiquen, any Seismitoad or Giratina variants. Giratina decks are starting to pop up again. Toad decks have made a showing here and there in Standard now, since people have been cutting their Jirachis. That's definitely something to keep an eye out for. It also helps out in the mirror match when they're double colorless on Entei and Charizard. You can lower their damage. Just so many special energies in the meta right now. It's such a good card. And a card that I feel was really criminally underrated upon its release, but people have started to take notice of it now. Then we play 4 double colorless. Just everything except the 1 non-ancient trait Entei just really, really benefits from double colorless energy. And then we have 4 7 fire energies. Yeah, just because you kind of need them. Works with Scorched Earth and Blacksmith, obviously, and just energy costs, yeah. I shouldn't have to explain that. That's my list for Entei Charizard. I know some people like to change things up a little bit. Like I mentioned, having fewer copies of Professor Sycamore, I've seen in some of them. Super Scoop Up is an option. Definitely something I've considered. I mean, you could very easily go Escape Rope, a couple of Sycamores down, maybe an Acrobike or something, and put in 4 Super Scoops. I've also seen higher Scorched Earth counts in some lists. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. You could tech an Eco Arm, I guess, to get back tools. It's kind of crazy, all the options we got. But that's what I've got right now. Of course, there's always tech options available, or you could remove some of the ones I've got here. But right now, that's my Entei Charizard list. It's been doing pretty well. Just kind of hope you don't run into Mega Manectric, I guess. Otherwise, it's pretty solid. And I hope to see you guys again very soon. Cheers.